Greetings, adventurers, my fellow folks and creatures of all shapes and sizes. This is your company morale coordinator and trainer, just letting you know that you are doing a fantastic job. We are very proud of you and hope that you keep up the good work. In the meantime, enjoy the show.
Welcome in, fellow folks and creatures of all shapes and sizes. Please come in and have a seat, relax, and prepare yourself for another Tales from the Navy. This tale is about a mysterious figure that has been seen standing alone in the field. What is this figure? Why does it take the form of a man? What is it looking for? Here we have a photo that was taken of the figure. Now this is supposedly the second sighting. A local field attendee has made claims to have seen it 2 times himself. We tracked down that field attendee. To get a good feel for what we're dealing with, we had to start with him. During an interview, this is what the attendee said.
So yeah, I was sitting here in the field. That's what I'm supposed to do, you know. But I was sitting there, and he caught my eye. He was just standing there watching me like some kind of creep. You know he was 100 yards away or more. What is he gonna do, you know? 2 days later, I was sitting in the field again. I was testing the local lavender harvest. You know, man. That lavender is really good. Really mellows you out, man. You know what I'm saying?
It was at this point in the interview the vibe began to change. The attendee, who was once talkative and willing to share all of his side of the events that day, now he seems distant, almost like a spirit has pulled his mind away inside itself. Hiding itself inside the now foggy mind? We would never know. The attendee never broke from his gaze. His gaze was cast out across the field. Pointing out his hand, the attendee waved a finger in the direction of where he saw the figure, and like that, walked away. Now that I know where he has been seen, I can start to plan my own attempts at finding out what is going on. Spent the day setting up a live feed camera and hid it against the brush line, placing various wildlife feeders around it, hopefully to make it appear less like a live access to what is going on here. After a week of fake alerts of the spotting of the figure, I thought we may have spooked it. Was this an alien trying to make content? What about those skin crawler things I hear about on ranches? Or perhaps, as some legends may claim, what we are actually seeing here is a spirit. The spirit of a long-past traveler. Soon we would get some evidence to help guide us to our next approach. It was about midday when I was watching over the live feed. Then in the middle of the field, the figure appeared, just outside of the live feed's focus, but we had him. I was only able to record a small segment before the figure passed out of sight. Here is what I was able to record. It seems to prefer the form of a tall male human shape. As you saw, it also seems to walk about, unsure of what to do, where to go, or even where it is. I decided I had to get with some locals. They had helped before with the story of swamp apes. What I was able to learn from them is that this area used to be dense with cattle works. Various beef and dairy products being the primary staple of the area. Basically, your job was either public works or cattle. During the early days of this industry, safety regulations were more safety ideas. While clearing a path for one of the larger transport units to go through is when the accident occurred. The worker had been assigned to work the upper branch area so the transport would not destroy itself as it passed under the big oaks. The worker was last seen alive walking into the path line. Early reports indicated that he would be working that area alone all day and was not expected to complete the project for several days. During an inspection visit by the foreman, it was discovered that all the work had already been completed, all the way down to the underbrush being set aside. What was also discovered were large amounts of blood trails. Seemed to go out in every direction and in large amounts. The foreman was later arrested for what the police at the time claimed charges of murder, though it was shortly after that all the charges were dropped, with a public apology being issued for making the foreman appear to be a killer. The later declared cause of death, and also why no parts of the man were ever found, was death by explosion. The error seemed to have taken place in a shipping depot. The worker had ordered sticks of sage-infused lavender sticks. These sticks were meant to be used to help keep the various insects and dangerous wildlife away. One would tie several in a line around you and light them. The smoke would keep you in a haze free and clear of ticks, mosquitoes, and chupacabras. Well, that's what they would have done. But it seems what he got in the mail that day was intended for a local railway company. Sticks of highly unfriendly dirt movers were what he was using that day. Since he was the only one out there, no one reported the explosion. But the crater should have been a clear giveaway. The project was shut down after that. The path remains unused to this day. Well, a tragic story like that would give any spirit a reason to stay in discontent, in a wailing sorrow as you wander about where you lost your life, trying to find a way to re-enter your body, bring it back to life. Was this a haunting situation? Was this creepy figure that the local attendees were fearing nothing more than a ghost? In my adventures I have faced many perils, beasts and creatures of different sorts, demons from deep dark lurkings, but a true ghost, a true spirit unable to accept the fate he was dealt. One of those I had never dealt with before. I reached out to a friend of mine up north. Her and her family had been helping spirits pass into the afterlife for generations. They held weekly sessions where they would speak to passing entities. The stories they heard from the sessions were incredible. They suggested an appeasement ceremony. To do a proper appeasement ceremony, we would need a few things. We needed 1 foot of copper pipe. The pipe acts as a positive energy gateway. Open on both ends, the spirits enter the pipe. Unable to turn round inside the pipe, the spirit has to keep going forward. The entrance to the afterlife is supposedly open at the other end, and since it is a positively charged pipe, the flow is only one way. Luckily, our research was able to uncover that the worker was from a land where they play a special music. Jam sesh is what I think it is called today. Meant to ensnare you into an outer-body experience. Aided by tribal medicines, no doubt. The music was known to go on and on for hours. Almost no ending in sight, or even a direction the music was going in. Even today, fans of this music can be seen waving in fields like wheat to the beat of the entrancing tunes. The final ingredient for the ceremony would be a bit more risky. Highly potent lavender, almost pure concentrate. This type of lavender is hard to work with. The smell is strong and barely fades. The plant is coated in a sticky bristle that build up on your fingers till you cannot feel a thing. Not to mention the vessel that you have to burn the lavender in requires you intake some of the smoke as you are getting it started. Filtered through water and cubes of ice, the effects seem to weaken. But take in too much and you get lost in a gaze, or nearly die choking as you cough. Many of those who practice with it today have been known to nearly pass out at times, coughing, grasping for air. They are heard declaring, "Never again," only to get enticed into keeping the ceremony going. With all the supplies in hand, we reset ourselves in the spirit's territory. With all things in place, we started the appeasement ceremony. Starting up the vessel almost ended me. The pipe was almost humming as the energy began to build inside. But the worst part was the music we had to use. I began the player at a low level. I did this to hopefully not startle any spirits. As the smoke began to build up around us more and more, the music was too increasing. I struggled to crawl to the player. The smoke had become a thick, heavy blanket that covered the ground around us. Unable to stand, I choked on the smoke. And with each cough, I found myself losing the drive to finish the ceremony. I wanted to just lay there and watch the trees, hopefully see a tree pixie or trunk gnome. By the time I reached the player, my mind had filled with so much fog that my eyes were seeing things that could not ever exist. When I grabbed the control knob to dial it back down, I saw that the knob had been turned past its max setting. All of these units stop at 10. They always have. Every unit produced always stopped at 10. But this one had been turned to 11, a number that doesn't even exist. The knob would not budge. My head was feeling like I was in a washing machine. The music slamming into my head, knocking it clean as the smoky lavender washed over it. It was a rough experience. What happened next was absurd. The smoke began to channel and flow through the small copper pipe. As it did so, it began to follow the beat of the music, pulsing and almost swaying as it entered the pipe. But it never came out the other side. It was just flowing into the pipe and clearing the air around me. That is when it appeared, standing there looking right at me. The figure was in the shape of a tall man. The man had long hair that had a silver glint flowing through it. His clothing seemed to be washing in waves of various colors. Never sticking to a pattern, it just carried in a current around him. Waving at me with 2 fingers in the air, the figure approached the copper pipe. Taking it up in his hands, he raised it to his lips. As he pointed up towards the sky, he began to blow. The smoke was billowing into the air as it was coming from a huge diesel engine. Up in the air, the smoke began to form the shape of a mushroom, or that is at least how it looked to me. Still holding up his 2 fingers, the figure began to fade. The ceremony was working, and this spirit was being appeased, blowing himself through the pipe to the afterlife that he desired. Once the figure had become completely faded, I was left in silence. The music had stopped. The smoke was gone. Even the vessel was gone. Since that day I have heard no further reports of the strange figure in the field, and I will never forget to be grateful dead. Can find peace in the afterlife. After all, peace and happiness is all you really need. Fellow folks and creatures, I call for your help, but the help is not for me. It is for my friends and family, the Forgotten Angels, souls that have been tormented by their parents, cursed by the state-appointed stewards. These souls have no hope at finding joy or happiness. David and Cindy with Forgotten Angels changed that. They provide the young souls with a safe and secure home, tools and understanding how to adapt to life and its changing weathers. They provide them with a chance to find happiness that they can call their own, and with this, providing another soul a chance at happiness.